Hello, my name is Paul Morabito. This is my country presentation on the United Arab Emirates, also known as the UAE. Good morning, class. Good afternoon, or good evening, depending on which corner of the world that you reside. The country that I chose is the United Arab Emirates, commonly referred to as the UAE, home of the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa, which is towering over 2,722 feet, over half a mile. This building is a representation of the UAE's greatness. This is a truly united country, home of a brand new innovation, true vision for the future of its people. I chose the UAE to show the class how vision and strong business decisions can catapult a nation into the future beyond the oil that originally caused its wealth. I want to introduce you to a world where culture and religion have influenced this world-leading country. Over the years of my experience and through my travels, I realized that the UAE is one of the most inviting and open-minded cultures in the Middle East. The United Arab Emirates is bordered by the Persian Gulf, which is also commonly referred to as the Arabian Gulf, the Gulf of Oman. The country of Oman is to the east and to the north. The country of Saudi Arabia is to the west and to the south. The United Arab Emirates is comprised of 7 individual states. They are Abu Dhabi, which makes up for the largest portion of the United Arab Emirates, Dubai, Sharjah, Al Quwan, Furja, Ajman, and Ras Al Khaimah. The United Arab Emirates is in the Middle East. The nation is home to slightly over 10 million people. However, the native population in the UAE consists of only 1.4 million people, and close to 84% of the population of the United Arab Emirates is made up of expats. This makes for most of the country who literally works and lives for the royal family and/or conducts business in an environment with lower corporate taxes. Now let's talk about the cuisine and foodways of the United Arab Emirates. The primary cuisine is meat, fish, and rice. These are the staple foods of the Emirati cuisine. There are several ways to obtain the fresh foods, including markets, restaurants, street vendors, or preparing your meals at home. Keep in mind that 84% of the population is not native to the land, yet somehow they've developed a culture of their own version of Emirati food. This is spread across all 7 states. The Emirati people also dine on lamb, mutton, some goat, some beef, and camel meat. Usually, dates are consumed with every meal. The cuisine influences the culture for the royal or the actual native Emirati people, and also the working class, which as a reminder makes up approximately 84% of the people, also has developed the food into their own culture. This picture is a representation of a traditional Emirati breakfast dish. This is a breakfast dish made with an omelet and vermicelli. Sugar, cinnamon, saffron, cardamom, and orange blossom or rose water is added for flavor. Then spices are added to the sweetened vermicelli, and the whole preparation is topped with a thin egg omelet. Looks good. The combination of multiple cultures put together makes for a tasty tradition in the Emirati culture. These are a few pictures of some other dishes traditional to the Emirati culture. What are some of the languages spoken in the United Arab Emirates? The country's main language spoken is Gulf Arabic. Gulf Arabic is often spoken in neighboring Gulf states, including Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia. Shia Arabic is a less popular version of Arabic spoken in the United Arab Emirates. However, the language is widely spoken in the neighboring state of Oman. The United Arab Emirates law requires foreigners to be fluent in Arabic in order to obtain citizenship in their country. Arabic is spoken by both locals and working class and is an influence on the traditional Islam and Muslim culture. What other languages are spoken in the United Arab Emirates besides Arabic? English, Persian, and Hindi are also spoken. Adding to the diversity of the United Arab Emirates, Persian is spoken by 5% of its population because they have migrated there from the country of Iran. Hindi is spoken by 30% of the population because they have migrated there from India. This is what makes the United Arab Emirates such a wide conglomerate of cultures and diversity. The United Arab Emirates' primary religion is Islam. The UAE's constitution designates Islam as the official religion. However, much like the United States of America, the United Arab Emirates Constitution also states that all religions are welcome to be practiced. Islam is the primary religion, and this has effects on most of its culture. Although the United Arab Emirates Constitution calls for a practice of freedom of religion, the Constitution also states, ensure that the UAE nationals have ambition and a sense of responsibility and are capable of drawing the future with confidence and participate effectively and sustainably social, economic, environmentally based on stability, solidarity, moderate Islamic values, and national heritage. Ensure prosperity for all the United Arab Emirates nationals who should enjoy a long life, good health, quality education, and government services. So you see there, they did tie moderate Islamic values into the national heritage. The origins of the country of the United Arab Emirates was particularly fascinating to me. The fact that it had a constitution surprised me. The fact that they were able to develop such a booming economy by utilizing global business best practices. Global business best practices is an example of the adaptation consistent with Emirati business and cultural practices and is the fundamental principle of equal treatment before the law of all United Arab Emirates citizens without regard to race, nationality, religious belief, or social status. As I said, the fact that the United Arab Emirates had a constitution fascinated me. When I think of the Middle East, I don't think of freedoms off the top of my head. I think of the atrocities that I've seen throughout Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq. The United Arab Emirates Constitution guarantees personal liberty, which is very similar to the Fourth and the Eighth Amendments to the United States Constitution, in that no person may be arrested, searched, detained, or imprisoned except in accordance with the provision of the law, or subject to torture or any degrading treatment. This is one of the reasons why the United Arab Emirates has continued to thrive and continued to develop and continued to become one of the greatest examples of the Middle East. Some final thoughts regarding the United Arab Emirates. When I first had to select a country for this country presentation, one of the criteria was it was a country that I had never been to or visited. Given that I had 23 years of active federal service in the United States military, as well as an additional 3 years as a Department of State contractor, I've been fortunate to visit several hundred countries throughout the world. I love the culture. I love learning new religions. I love seeing new foods, seeing new ideas. The United Arab Emirates is one of the richest, modern, striving economies in the world. The country's leadership has a vision for true success of its future. I'm impressed by the fact that they used oil to become rich. Then, when they found out that they were going to lose their oil eventually over time through utilization, they came up with new, innovative ways to rally their people, use the culture and religion that they've developed, and be a completely successful nation. As a final thought, how can a nation that shares the same culture, virtually the same religion, most of the same food and practices be so much more successful than some of the other war-torn regions in the Middle East? An example of this is the current situation in Afghanistan, in Syria, in Iraq. How is the United Arab Emirates different? The word itself is in the country's name. They are far more united, although they share the same borders. They have a much greater vision for the future. Thank you. These are the references that I used in the production of this country presentation. This is the last slide of the references that I used in the production of this presentation. If anybody has any questions or comments, please feel free to email me at morabito96@gmail.com, which is spelled MORABITO96@gmail.com. Thank you very much. I hope that everybody's having a wonderful Independence Day.